everyone. Welcome back to another At America TV event with me, Jasmine. I hope you all are doing well. So for those of you joining us for the first time, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have temporarily moved to a digital platform so you can still enjoy all of our events at the comfort of your own home. So for tonight, we will be discussing building strong CVs or resumes and letters of recommendation for U.S. graduate school applications. But before we begin, I would like to share with you guys that At America is having a giveaway as part of our 10th anniversary celebration and also a celebration of Earth Day in the month of April. We are inviting you guys to participate in our giveaway. So how can you guys do that? Stay tuned until the end of the program because that's when I'll be sharing with you guys how to participate. And also, as usual, in all of our events, I would like to share with you guys our social media quiz question for this evening. So the question is, true or false, most universities require only one recommendation letter as part of the application process. So is that true or false? You can participate in our social media quiz by commenting on our social media platform on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram. And for those of you who got the answer correctly, you will get a live shout out from us at the end of the program. Alright, without further ado, I would like to invite both of our beautiful speakers for this evening, both of our Education USA advisors here at America, Ms. Vina Alatas and Santika Salim.
All right, thank you so much, Jasmine. Hi everyone, welcome to At America TV. My name is Vina. I'm one of the advisors for Education USA based in At America. And of course, I always say this, I'm very excited for this event tonight. This is part of our monthly event. But as usual, I would like to say hi to everyone who is watching this session from so many different platforms because of course, not only here in Zoom, but we are on so many other platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, we are live on Instagram, we are also live on YouTube. But then, of course, if you want to join the crowd here, I'm currently in Zoom with the whole At America team and my colleague Santika, and I'm looking at the participants here. There are a number of you guys who is currently in the room. So if you want to join the crowd, feel free to do that because during my presentation, you can interact basically with one another. You can ask questions as well during my presentation because my colleague Santika will basically stand by in chat before we start the Q&A after my presentation. But if you want to stay wherever you are currently watching this from, feel free to do that as well. We already have an amazing At America team who will make sure all of the questions from so many different platforms. So if you are on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you can still you're still able to ask questions or just say hi and leave any comments. All right. If this is your first time, as usual, I would like to give a short presentation about Education USA, just in case you're wondering who we are and what we do. Give me 1 second. I hope you can see this. Okay, so what is Education USA, if you wonder about us? So we are part of the U.S. Department of State Network, or here in Indonesia, kita bilangnya Kementerian Luar Negerinya Amerika Serikat. We have over 400 international student advising centers such as this here in America in more than 170 countries. So as you can see here, we are basically all over the world. And what we do as the Education USA advisors is that we guide you who wants to study higher education in the U.S. Bachelor's, master's, or PhD, S1, S2, dan S3. And the good news is that all of our services are free of charge. I know it sounds too good to be true. Every time I say this to people, they always, really? And I said, yeah, it's true. So in Indonesia, actually, not only here in At America, but we actually have 8 centers with a total of 10 advisors. So we have 2 in Jakarta, one at the U.S. Embassy, and then the other one is, of course, here in At America. We are located in Pacific Place. And then we also have 2 in Surabaya. We have 1 in Medan, Malang, Makassar, and Banda Aceh. So we basically cover the whole country. And don't worry if there is no Education USA center where you live, because you can basically just reach out to the nearest one, or since you are with us now with At America, feel free to reach out to either myself or Santika. So with Education USA, we provide you with 5 services. If you're wondering what kind of services that we provide, so we start with the very basic one, that is step 1, research your options. So you know that you want to study in the US, but you don't know where to start. Don't worry. Let's have a chat. Let's discuss some of your options, or any kind of questions that you have about studying in the US. And then we can move on to step 2, which is finance your studies, because that's equally important. As international students, there are obviously some funding options available for us, and then we can also take a look at that and discuss it together. And then we can move on to the next one, which is completing your application. A lot of things going on here. It's getting very technical. So for example, the event tonight, definitely it's the step 3, completing your application. So not only we can help you, assist you with resume, CV, letters of recommendation, but we also can take a look at your essay. If you have any questions about standardized tests such as the TOEFL or GRE or GMAT or IELTS and what have you, we can also talk about that as well. And then once you pretty much have everything, you're going to submit all of the documents, and then what you're going to do is you're going to be in a waiting period, right, before the university basically get back to you and give you the good news. And then once you get the admission letter, which is congratulations, we can move on to the next step, which is applying for your student visa. And yes, we actually guide you on that. So we're guiding you. We're not applying for you, but we give you information for the step-by-steps for you to apply for your student visa. And then last but not least, it's step 5, which is prepare for your departure. So we basically give you a lot of information for basically everyone who is ready to depart to the US. We cover topics such as, how to maintain student visa, the first few things that international students need to do when they get to the US, how to find housing, what is the classroom experience looks like. So a lot of topics that we cover here in step 5. So as you can see here, we assist everyone every step of the way. So I want you guys to start, to see Education USA as the go-to place for you to study in the US. So meet with the advisors, again, in Education USA at America, which is the program tonight. It's from Ad America TV. There are 2 advisors. Again, my name is Fina, and I have my colleague Santika. I'm going to call her up after my presentation is done. She will join me in the discussion, but she is currently basically helping me in the chat box, which I really appreciate. So yeah, if you want to interact with the 2 of us, join this event, and you can tell your friends to also come and join this event that we're going to start very soon. The advising hours is basically similar to before the pandemic, basically, when we were still in Ad America. So we are available 7 days a week. Only that now we are available via Zoom. So all of the advising sessions are being conducted via Zoom. So I leave you the Zoom ID here, 276-124-396, and Santika will help me give you the link in Zoom chat, so you can save it, and then the next time you want to come in to Zoom to see one of us, you can do that. Obviously, there is no one in the Zoom advising room because both of us are running this event, but tomorrow, if you want to come back before the event, well, technically there's an event also tomorrow, but before the event, you can actually come into Zoom if you want to. So we are available basically from 1 until 9 p.m. every single day in Zoom. Or you can email us first if you don't feel like, jumping into Zoom and then just meet with one of us. You can definitely email us first to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. Tomorrow, actually another monthly event of Education USA at America. And my favorite topic, as you may already know, if you've been here before with us, I love reading essays. I love talking about essays. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how to write a statement of purpose or personal essay for U.S. universities. Basically, if you go to YouTube, or Ad America's YouTube, you can watch the previous videos. But then again, this is part of our monthly event. So me personally, I love watching, a session live. So feel free to just come in tomorrow, basically same time, 6:30 until 8:30. And then the following Saturday this week, I'm very excited about this one. I believe we have never done this before. Basically, this is kind of like a follow-up to the events tomorrow. So basically, tomorrow is going to be full of me doing presentation, such as what I'm going to do tonight as well. But I guarantee you all of the information that I'm going to share with you tomorrow will be very, very informative. And then on Saturday, this is kind of like a follow-up where we are going to basically discuss together. So if you still have some questions about essay writing, I'm not going to pull up any presentation slides. So I'm just going to take as many questions as possible. And then what is going to be interesting about this session is that Santika and we are planning to invite some of our advisees who are currently working on their essays with us, that, I want to hear from them. I want to invite them and hear from them. Basically, what do they think about, discussing their essay with Santika and myself, their comments about it. And so, yeah, if you want to join this session and want to know more about essay writing and why essay writing is very different and some people found it difficult. So, yeah, feel free to join this. It's going to be on a Saturday afternoon. So we start from 1:30 until 3:30. Next month, early May, I really look forward to this event as well. So basically, Santika and we have been showered by a number of emails, WhatsApps from our advisees that we have been working on together for the past 6 months, even a year before, and they shared with us some good news that they got accepted to U.S. universities. And this actually is time of the year when we actually, receive a lot of this kind of news, good news from our advisees. So early May, we are thinking, let's gather all this incoming students and then let's discuss together, sharing their experience, sharing their stories. And then it is for you guys as well. If you are still in the application process, but you want to hear about some of these people who already got accepted and then hear from them some of the tips, please join the session. I really do look forward to this and actually, hear from their stories as well. So basically, this is for people who already got accepted, but also for those who have, who are still in the application process as well. Okay, so it's going to be on Saturday, May 8th. At 11. And basically all of the events that I just showed you, they are already available on AdAmerica's website. So feel free to register in advance via Zoom there. And then the nice thing about Zoom is that they're going to send you an email, some kind of, a reminder email. So it's actually really nice. So you don't have to, like put it on your phone calendar or something like that. So yeah, feel free to do that. So you can actually go to AdAmerica's website to register, atamerica.or.id at atamerica.or.id/educationusa, and then you scroll all the way down, and then you can see our upcoming events specifically for Education USA. Okay, are you guys ready? I really hope you do. I already grabbed my coffee, so I'm good to go to give this presentation to you. This is somewhat straightforward, I would say, my presentation. It's not going to be as long as my presentation tomorrow, but if this is your first time joining the session, hopefully there are a lot that you can take with you tonight. So basically, we're going to talk about, CVs, everything about CVs, resumes, as well as letters of recommendation, specifically for U.S. graduate school application, okay? And I like to start pretty much all of my presentation with this one slide so that we are on the same page, right? So are we agree with this? That these are basically the list of requirements if you want to study in the U.S., right? So they're going to ask you for an English standardized test, such as the TOEFL or IELTS. We covered this topic last month when we were talking about TOEFL, IELTS, and other type of English standardized tests that are new, such as the Duolingo. We got PTE as well. But it's very basic. They're going to ask that, and then they're going to definitely ask for college transcripts as well, and then CV and resume, letters of recommendation, definitely something that we're going to talk about tonight. The other standardized tests, such as the GRE or GMAT, not all programs will ask you this standardized test, but it's very common that if you want to study in the US for master's, they're going to ask you this. And then last but not least is statement of purpose or personal essay. I don't put statement of purpose or personal essay here as the last one. I don't put this list on a specific order. Sorry, I put this on, just like randomly. It doesn't mean that I put statement of purpose as being the last. It means it's the least important. But you're going to understand more tomorrow when we discuss the essay topic, that it is actually really, really important. Basically, as important as the topic tonight, that is CV, resume, and letters of recommendation. The key word here is holistic, and then you're going to hear me mention this term a couple of times tonight, just so that you understand better, that you're familiar better about this holistic term that I'm going to cover tonight as well. What is holistic? What is being, applying to US is holistic. What does that mean? So let's take a look at CV and resume first, okay? What is the difference between the two? I feel like the reasons why we have this session is because I started to realize, a couple of years when I started with Education USA, that here in Indonesia, the term resume is actually not that common. CV, however, is very common. I think it's very universal, that everyone is, oh yeah, here's my CV, right? But not so much on resume. Where with me, it's actually the opposite. I graduated from US universities for my undergrad, and then in the US, it's very common for me to actually use the term resume. And so when I come back to Indonesia, and then, I throw this word a lot, this term a lot, and not a lot of people actually kind of understand what is resume, right? So that's why I'm, when I joined Education USA, I feel like I need to, set this straight, right? So what is the difference? So let's start with CV, the one that we are very, familiar with. So CV is curriculum vitae. It means course of life in Latin. And then let's stay a little bit longer here. It's course of life. It just so that it's easier for you to understand the difference between CV and resume. So course of life. When I heard about this term, it means that basically all my life, I'm going to put it in CV, although it's not technically true, because you basically want to put everything that you start after high school, right? So this is actually really important. So if your current CV right now has your high school information, take it out. Take it out, because you are here tonight, specifically you want to apply for US graduate schools, right? So now for CV, basically it's course of life, but it starts after high school. So with CV, normally it is a document of over 2 or more pages. So it means that, there is no page limit technically with CV. So you can actually have as many, pages as you want. And basically what is in it is a high level of detail about pretty much everything. But then again, after high school, you put your university information in there, your achievements, and not just like career history, okay? It covers if you have teaching and research experience, if you have publications, awards, presentation, honors, anything, volunteer. But then don't worry, if you don't have all of this, it doesn't mean that, does that mean I can't have CV? No, I just, want to put it out there that if you have any of this, or if you have all of this, you definitely want to put it into CV, right? And with CV, it's static. It doesn't change for different positions. So with CV, instead of you changing what is in it, what you already have, unless you still have your information before college, that's, we want to delete all of that. But with CV, normally you are not changing what is already in it, but you keep adding new things as we speak, right? So let's say you are going to submit your CV at the end of this year or maybe next year, right? And so as time goes on, maybe you are going to join some kind of volunteer work in the following month, or maybe you are being part of something at the moment and you have not put that information into CV. You want to keep adding that information into your CV, right? So that's why with CV there is no page limit technically, because you're going to you want to add more information in it, okay? That's basically the one slide of CV. That's, how straightforward CV is. And then now let's take a look at resume. So resume, it means summary, although it's in French. It's not in Latin, like course of life. But it means summary. So the easiest way to remember resume, because it's a summary, basically a summary of what? The easiest way to remember is a summary of CV. So remember when I said that CV, you keep adding new things, you're not deleting anything unless, if you have like those information before college. But with resume, you take what you have on your CV into a one document, because that's what resume is. It's a concise document, typically no longer than 1 page. You can have a maximum of 2 pages, but no more than that. So if you have whatever document with you right now, maybe you call it CV, take a look at it. If you have a 1-page so-called CV, well, in the US term, it's actually a resume. But if you have more than 2 pages, then yes, you have CV. Okay? So basically, again, resume is a summary of whatever it is that you already have in a CV. Every time you hear any institutions, or in this case, universities, asking for a resume, it means that whoever asked for it, which technically in this case is the admissions committee, they do not want to spend too long reading your document, right? So because it's only 1 to 2 pages, they want to look at the content real quick. So that's why we only take the summary of it into resume, right? And the goal is to basically make yourself stand out from the competition, from other applicants. And you need to find a way to actually, put all the information that is what they really want to read into resume, right? Because it's only 1 page. So they're going to probably just read it no more than 30 seconds. And so that being said, you will want to actually adapt on the content of the resume depending on what you are going to use that resume for. So this is kind of like me explaining the general idea of what resume is. So if you are going to use resume for applying for a job, for example, maybe the content will be different than when you're applying, when you're using resume for applying for US grad school, right? But then after this, we're going to focus on just grad school, right? But with resume, you will want to adapt the content of it depending on what you're going to use it. Why you want to adapt it? Well, obviously because we only have 1 to 2 pages of document that we need to fit in, okay? So they are basically, based on those 2 slides, there are basically 3 major differences that I have covered. So between CV and resume. So it's the 3 major differences are the length, the purpose, and the layout. And what about it again? So the length with CV, it's long, right? There is no page limit. With resume, it's short. We want to try our best to make it into 1 page. If you really can't make it 1 page, 2 pages are fine, but definitely no more than 2 pages. I mean, if you really cannot make it 2 pages, and then the university is actually saying, you can submit resume or CV, then your document will be a CV if it's more than 2 pages, okay? The purpose, what about it? So, well, basically it covers the entire career, so you put everything in there, although it's not related necessarily. So, for example, you're applying for chemical engineering, but then in the CV you have some kind of information where you do volunteer work, I don't know, teaching English, for example. That has nothing to do with chemical engineering, right? But you just put it in the CV, right? Because the purpose, basically with CV, it's everything, right? Everyone who is asked for a CV, they want to know you, basically your entire activities and career and all that, right? Whereas with resume, you want to adapt to the purpose. So if you want to study chemical engineering and then the university is basically just asked for a resume, you want to put all of the information that is related to chemical engineering, if you have, right? And then what about the layout? The layout, it's static. You don't delete anything in there while you're adding in new information. Whereas with resume, it's highly customizable depending on what you're going to use the document for. The reason being, resume is short. We only have 2 pages space. Okay. So let's take a look at these 2 documents. What do they look like? I don't know if you can actually see the content, but that's not really the whole point of me showing this slide. I just want you to kind of like get a better idea on the structure of the document, because obviously when you take a look at my the next few slides, you will start to realize that, wait, this looks actually different than what I have. And then that's the whole point of why I'm making this event every single month, because we want you to actually end up with this kind of structure. So on the left side, it is resume, and then on the right side, it's CV. It's just like the first part of the document, and on my next slide, I'm going to show you the rest. Why I can tell really quickly that the left side is resume, because you can see that how this person actually really pay attention on giving the information in terms of like the lines, right? In terms of the space, how for names and all the, like phone numbers, email, and address, this person actually make it into 2 lines only, because this person pays attention to so much with the space limit. Whereas on the right side, the person doesn't care, because, hey, I'm making CV. I can have as many pages as I want to, right? So then the person actually take as many lines as he or she wants, right? So that's basically the, like the main difference between the resume and CV. And then after the contact information, we want to follow with education. After that, I see some resume or CV from some of our advisees, where after contact information, they follow up with working experience or professional experience, and then they put education somewhere else. And then I tell them to change it. So we want education to come basically after the contact information, due to the reasons why we are going to use this document for, which is, for applying for, graduate schools, right? So normally the first few things that the admissions committee want to see is, what program did you graduate from on your undergrad, on your bachelor's degree, okay? And then after education, you can basically put, the working experience, and you can call it so many different things. You can call it just experience. There is no like one rule for this. You can be creative if you want. You can call it working experience. You can call it professional experience, or you can just simply call it experience if you like, right? And then so yeah, contact information at the top. I don't see this being different than the Indonesian CV. U.S. letter, I mean, we don't have any problem with that. In Indonesia, we happen to use also alphabet, U.S. letter. And then the color of the paper, maybe you want to pay attention more on this. We want to stick to just, like a simple white or light cream or gray paper for this 2 documents. And as in for the font, we want to stick to 12. I've seen some people use 11, and I hardly can see the difference. So 11 is fine if you wish to do so, but definitely not 10, because that's like when things are very obvious that I can see that it's so small, okay? And so these are like what the rest of the document looks like. Again, the left side is the resume, the right side is the CV. No I statements on both of the documents. So we want to keep it as is, as in, just simply, explain what your responsibility. Don't forget the achievements. Sometimes people, we don't think to put that there, but it's actually really good, because actually if you think about a resume and CV, that's for you to shine. That's for you to show off what you have done, which actually a lot of people think, oh wait, I thought I'm going to show off on my essay. And so this is a teaser. You are not showing off your past experience on your essay. Why? Join the event tomorrow. But yeah, you basically want to show off on the resume and CV. So if you have not put your achievements, you definitely want to put it here. Okay. So okay, is it on the next page? Okay. So I think yeah, you can put references at the end, but it's actually not common, especially for the grad schools, because, well, technically references, they are going to be your recommenders. With CV, it's okay because, again, like there's no page limit, right? But then with resume, oftentimes most, if not all of my advisees no longer have space to put references. So if you don't have the space for references, you can skip that. Okay. Content in reverse chronological order, or the most recent first. I don't think this is a problem. I think most of the Indonesian version of CV, you guys already put that in the chronological order. On the right side, if you see no photo included, and then probably you're wondering what's up with that, we're going to cover that. So this is basically kind of what the whole document of resume looks like. I believe this is only one page. Yeah, this is only one page. So this person is able to make a resume in one page. And I know probably, again, I'm not trying to make you actually really read what is in it. I don't know if you can actually see it, but basically I just want to show you the outlook, the overall like structure of the document, and then probably when you compare it to what you have, it's so different. And it is different because US is like that. They we like to just look very different in so many things, like not just with resume but with CV as well, and of course with essay. That's why we cover this session every month. Yeah, so these are basically what the resume looks like, and this is what the CV looks like. It's not that much of a difference, but again, with CV, the person, because there's no page limit, you can have as many lines as you want, right? And again, let's like if we go back to the resume, I know it looks just very wordy, right? But I totally understand why it's being the case. And remember when I said in the beginning that every time the university asks for a resume, it means that the admissions committee, they don't want to spend too long reading your information. And then I totally understand having this kind of structure is very straightforward, and then it's very easy to navigate. It's very easy for me to find certain information because how, like for example, the category like education and experience, and this person put additional experience and affiliations, how this person put all this category in a larger font. And then if you see, all of the timelines are on the right side. So it's actually very easy for me to kind of like navigate, like, it's very easy for me to, okay, so this person worked here, and then I can just take a look on my right side. Oh, this is like from this time to this time. I know that some of us are trying to be very creative when it comes to making this kind of document where we make it into 2 columns. Maybe some of you have this. Maybe make it into 2 columns, and then information on the left side and then new information on the right side. And when I see that, I will tell people, revise it, make it into this boring, wordy document. But definitely is going to make the admissions committee's life easier. So we wanna stick with this style, okay? So this is the second page of CV. This person obviously have a lot of category. So if you have those as well, feel free. This is the content is where you can actually be creative, right? The structure, the outlook of the document, not so much. You can't like really be creative because we want to stick to this type of, like outlook. But in terms of the content, please do so. If you have, I don't know, maybe you are an LPDP awardee. A lot of my, or Fulbright awardee, a lot of my advisees forgot to even mention that. And I'm like, hello, that's when we want to show off. Look, I received a Fulbright scholarship from the US government or for the Indonesian government. So you want to put that in the document, okay? So this is the fun part. Let's take a look how the CV and resume, or in Indonesia, is very common to just use the term CV. How is it different in Indonesia? So I blurred some part, but you get a better idea here. You can see that on the left side, on top, there's some kind of like a headshot. maybe if you have your CV with you, you already know that, yeah, I do have the headshot. And then you started to realize when I pulled up the resume and CV just now, there is no headshot whatsoever because in the US, we don't actually normally put any pictures. And I actually just realized that I think it is only in the US that does this. I see elsewhere, like in Asia, Europe, here Indonesia, obviously we do put headshot. But now you know, since you are basically in this session with us for US graduate school, you definitely want to skip the headshot if you already have that currently. On top, like the name, address, telephone number, email, well, technically it's the same. You can have that. You don't have to put like applying for. I know some people have put like a summary, and you know there are 3-4 lines, some kind of explaining what your objective is. No, we don't need that. That's mostly if you want to apply for a job, but then if you want to apply for grad school, we can actually skip that. The fun part is actually the following information that is called personal data. That's what I want to focus on in this particular slide, because this is when the US is actually really different. I know that, again, I realized that elsewhere it's very common for you to put, you know, like your nationality, your sex or gender, your marital status, date of birth, and place of birth. In the US, please delete all that, because not only they will find it funny or weird, it's unnecessary. And I'm going to tell you why that is the case. But now you know, and this is actually a piece of important information in this session, that now you know that we don't need that in order for you to apply for US grad schools with resume and CV. The rest is basically the same. It's just that what is different in this is actually the outlook, right? It's all the category is on the left side, and then no, we don't want this. So if you have something like this, please change it to what I showed you. And I know what I showed you in the resume, the US resume and the US CV, it's very small, but don't worry. Santika, I think, has some links from US universities where they provide the samples of resume and CV on their website. And you can actually just simply Google it if you want to do that as well. So again, what is different? So basically from that one slide that I just showed you, what is different between the Indonesian CV and the US with the US CV is there is no picture. There is no other information like no religion, no marital status, and basically no other unnecessary information. And I find it really interesting when I sometimes, you know, take a look at some of the Indonesian CVs here, because there are so many informations that I never knew that we actually have it here. But then again, like in the US, we don't actually really need that. The reason is because let's talk a little bit about the history, so that when people ask you why you have that certain resume or CV, you have the answer. But then it goes back all the way to 1964. It's called the Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act, where it says it's an act where a federal law prohibits employers from discriminating against employees on the basis of sex or gender, race, color, national origin, and religion. And it gets extended by also the act also says that it also applies to private and public colleges and universities. So basically in the US, you know, if you even want to use the document for applying for a job or applying for universities, they are not allowed to actually ask you this kind of information, what you look like, what is your religion, what is your race, because it's considered a discrimination, okay? So now getting more technical with CV and resume, because, well, obviously you are here so that you can use the CV and resume for grad schools in the US, but normally all grad schools in the US going to ask at some point on one of these documents, Individual programs might ask you different things. Maybe one school asks for just a CV, but then other schools for the same program ask you a resume and not a CV, or other campus, other programs, or other universities let you choose between resume or CV, right? But basically, when they do ask this document, you do not want to underestimate, and basically you do not want to underestimate any of the documents that they ask. So if you come back to my first slide, when we agree that they ask us this documents like transcript, English standardized test, GRE or GMAT, essay, letters of recommendation, we do not want to underestimate any of this document, because each of these documents is really, really important, because the way the U.S. university, the way U.S. universities review our application is using holistic approach. And remember, I told you that I'm going to use this term at some point tonight. It means that, just like what I said, all of the documents is really important. They really weigh each of the documents pretty much the same. Although I want to say that essay is being kind of like higher, more superior, but then CV and resume as well, and letters of recommendation also. So yeah, I mean, resume and CVs definitely can be a useful way to represent yourself holistically. So they review your application holistically, and all of these documents is basically for you to represent yourself holistically. So each of the documents has its own purpose, right? So remember when I said that with the resume and CV, it's basically for you to show off what you have done or what you're currently doing with whatever, professional working experience that you currently have. And actually, that's not what you want to elaborate on the essay. And then again, that's something that we're going to cover tomorrow. But we want to just stick with the resume when it comes to showing off what we have done. Not just like professional experience, actually. You can actually show off your GPA if you want. If you graduate with, I don't know, cum laude. Or if you have like a really great GPA. That's when you actually want to show that off in the resume, okay? Let's see here. That's it actually with resume and CV. Again, it's actually very straightforward, but if this is your first time hearing about resume, I hope you actually learned something. Again, I kind of like get distracted because in front of me I have my own laptop, and then I put up the chat box, and then it keeps kind of like popping up, and I can't wait to read all of this, but I can only read it when I'm done with my presentation. And I know Santika has been very active, interact with you guys, but yeah, that's basically my presentation on resume and CV. If you have some other questions, please feel free to ask in the chat, and then we're going to cover that together after my presentation. Now move on to the next topic. That is letters of recommendation. Is equally important as well. What is a letter of recommendation? I think it's explanatory. I think it's something that is quite common, that we also use that as well here in Indonesia for whatever for whatever purpose. Applying for a job, maybe applying for universities locally here as well. But there are some important information that I'm going to share with you on my next few slides that is really, really important, and that's again why I have this event every month. But again, basically, just in case you're not really familiar with with letter of recommendation, basically it's a detailed discussions from the referees or the recommenders of the personal qualities, accomplishments, and experiences of you, not of the recommenders, obviously, that sets you apart from other applicants. And I want you to remember this part. Sets you apart from other applicants, because you're going to actually hear me using these sentences tomorrow on the essay event. So this is what I look in terms of like the similarities between letter of recommendation and essays. With essays, is definitely, it's something that you write. You're the author of that essay, right? Letters of recommendation, the content of the letters is actually about you, but it's being written by someone else, and that someone else is actually really important as well, not on who they are, but in terms of how they can actually vouch for you. And this is something that I want to make it clear tonight. Remember, let me repeat it again. The recommender is actually very important, but not about who they are, not about what their position is, but they are very important as in how they can actually vouch for you, because this letter is about you. This letter is not about who this person is who writes this letter. Okay, and I think this is what I see being the major difference when it comes to letters of recommendation. So basically, this recommenders, they have to be able to write a letter that sets you apart from the other applicants. And the reasons why I also said that I want you to remember this sentence, because tomorrow I'm also going to say that I want you to be able to write an essay that sets you apart from other applicants. So that's why we don't want to undervalue this or underestimate this document. It's actually really, really important document. Okay. So when it comes to letter of recommendation, it can come from two different type of recommenders. It can be from academic, that is the faculty members, or it can also be professionals. And it's varied. It can be administrators, internship, or cooperative supervisors, or just supervisors. The easy way to understand this, and your employers if you want to go quite high up there. Okay, but yeah, the last bulleted statement is actually something that I basically said from the beginning of the slide, that the best letter writers is quite a mouthful, but there are so many terms. You can call it reveries, you can call it recommenders. The best letter writers are those that know you well, and they have to be able to actually vouch for you so well. And basically can provide an evaluation of your ability to perform, on why you are the very right candidate for this specific program, and so on. Okay. So how important are letters of recommendation? Where it is actually very important. Again, it's required for almost every graduate school application. I have not actually seen a graduate program where they didn't ask for letters of recommendation. So, you know, as part of your application process, your transcript, your standardized test scores such as the GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, and so on, and admission essay, well, they factor in most heavily. Well, I want to say essay being kind of like more superior. But letters of recommendation, it could be actually the deciding factor in the admission process, and it's how important this document is. So you definitely do not want to understand the importance of this letter. So again, the keyword here is holistic. I have this again, right? I think this is my third time mentioning this term. So the whole idea about, you know, having holistic process means that we want to balance everything out, right? So maybe let's say you have an okay standardized test scores, or maybe you have an okay GPA on your transcript, but then let's say you have a very strong letters of recommendation, or you have a very strong resume, or even better, you have a very strong essay, and it's actually a must. You have to have a strong essay. And so, you know, it will balance out, right, with that okay or rather low GPA or rather low standardized test. And then I don't know if this is like different with how letters of recommendation being viewed here in Indonesia, but if let's say the university asks you to submit 2 letters, then you actually want to make sure that each recommender will say something different. If 2 recommenders are saying basically the same thing, what is the point of them, reading different letters, right? So it's actually so much better when each recommender can actually say something different. And for you to do that, you can actually be upfront and you can actually be in control over what is in the letter. But there is a caveat here. There is a piece of important information that I think is going to be on my next slide. But yeah, technically you can be upfront and you can actually sit together with the recommenders and then discuss together. If the recommenders actually want you to be the person who navigate what is in the letter, then yeah, you can be upfront, because there are actually some recommenders out there where, when you actually ask for them to write it, they will, quickly say, oh yeah, no, I'll be happy to, give me some time and I'll get back to you in whatever, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. If that's the case, then that's great. But then there are some recommenders where they're kind of, want you to kind of, please help me, tell me what you want me to write in it. Okay. That being said, we want to make sure that you give the recommenders plenty of lead time. I totally understand the beauty of procrastination. I admit that I'm also, like to procrastinate, but please, because this is a matter of we asking for someone else's help. We don't want to bother them too much by asking this kind of request very close to the deadline. So please give, plenty of lead time. The way I look at it, if you can give it at least a month before, is very ideal. More than 1 month, it would be great as well. A month and a half, so that, once in a while you can remind them. It's different when you only have, I don't know, like 2 weeks left, and then imagine how many times you need to remind the person, and then at some point probably the recommenders will find that annoying, and we want to avoid that, right? So yeah, we want to give them plenty of lead time. Real quick, because at some point when you are in the online portal, like when you are going to, provide all the information, uploading documents and all that, at some point you probably will get this FERPA. If you want to, whether or not you want to waive the right to review recommendation letter, and sometimes people, confused about what is it, like what should I answer? Well, technically there's no right or wrong answer, but the short answer, just say yes. It just means that, because here, I don't know about here in Indonesia, but in the US, when it comes to letters of recommendation, they really consider the document as, I can't find the word, but like you're not supposed to actually see what is in it, right? So when you say yes to this agreement, it means that you are not allowed to actually see what is in it. But then, technically they are saying that, well, when we accept you, and you want to take a look what is in it, you can, but only after you get accepted. Although I found it really funny because, oftentimes after you get accepted, you will not care about like what is in the letters of recommendation, right? Because you already, get too excited that you got accepted. But that's basically what FERPA is. So if you say no, it means that like you actually really need to see what is in it. And that's kind of like raise question for them, because then for them it's kind of, as if you're not actually trust the recommenders for writing positive things. And then I think that's like very common, like it's common sense, right? That you only find recommenders that for sure that the person will write positive things about you. Like why would you, ask your supervisor that that you have, that you're not having good relationship with, to write you a letter of recommendation? You know what I mean? So yeah, the short answer is yes. You really don't have to worry about this too much. Okay. So basically, just to kind of like sum up, who should write the letters of recommendation. I don't want to, go over all this, but basically what I really want you to really understand is this just number one, someone who knows you well. And if you have someone like that, basically the rest just will follow automatically, right? Someone who knows you well, obviously someone who knows your work, and can describe your work positively and so on. Okay. So, again, like at the same time, because letters of recommendation is really, really important. And like I said earlier, we want to make sure that they provide all the necessary information, and they may not have all this information. That being said, we want to provide all this information, right? So that's why, maybe ask them to, ask to meet with them and then have this kind of like discussions, kind of like refresh their memory. That would help. Okay. So what's to provide to your referees? Well, technically you don't want to provide all this information in different documents, but I don't know, if you are going to ask for faculty members, for example, maybe it would be really helpful if you can, share with them your transcript, right? So then they can kind of like remember, oh yeah, I remember I teach you this course, and so maybe you can tell them that, yeah, this is the GPA that I get from you, and so on. But then feel free to also share with them your resume or CV. If you have your essay draft, that would be also interesting. Although, again, your essay is not going to be basically your past achievements, but again, this is a teaser. What you want to put in your essay is going to be what I'm going to cover tomorrow. Okay. Discuss with the faculty members, if those are the persons that you're going to ask to write this document, about the courses that you've taken with them. Refresh their memory, right? And talk about your professional goals, what you want to do in the future, and so on. Don't forget to mention the due date for the application, and then this is like, that's why if you can, give them plenty of, time, not like really close to the deadline. This is the important part. So Fina, okay, I totally get it, what you're saying here when it comes to letters of recommendation. It's really, important document. The person basically needs to be someone who knows me well and so on. But look, the recommenders ask me to write it for them. Can I do that? You know what? I think it's not a matter of you asking me this in a question style. Can I do that? It's more like, this is what I have. I have me writing the letter of recommendation, as if that's the most natural thing to do. At least I think in Indonesia it is, but now I'm telling you, it is not. Definitely not. Oops, sorry. It looks weird there, but no. Can I do that? Definitely not. And I put that in capital letters. Definitely not. You are not supposed to write the letter. The referees are. And I know that in the beginning I said that you actually have control over what is in the letter, but it's different when I say that to who actually write the letter. So who should write the letter has to be the recommender, but content-wise, you do have the control over what is in it. But I don't actually really see that being the case here in Indonesia. I think here in Indonesia, it's very common that we write it on behalf of the recommenders, and that's like a big no, okay? So basically, if the referees refuse to write it themselves, what can you do about it? My simple answer is try to find other referees, because look, when it comes to applying for U.S. universities, they really do, the admissions committee in the U.S. universities, they really do value the honesty, and it's very personal to them when you submit all this information, like in the essay, as well as the letters of recommendation. So I don't see why it has to be different when we are working on the letters of recommendation, as in finding the referees. Maybe for some people here, we look at letters of recommendation as something that is very formal. And this is also why when I said you need to find a referees who knows you well, not who they are, it's because I don't really see that being the case in Indonesia. I think here in Indonesia, we tend to focus too much on who the recommenders are, as in how big their position, how high their position is. I mean, a company or even like in a university. And I want you to, I want to change your mind, because that is not really the case when it comes to applying to US universities. Because you know what? At the end of the day, the admissions committee, they don't care who are the recommenders. What they care is whether or not these recommenders can vouch for you. Because remember, you are the one who's applying for this program. You're the one who's going to study. It's not about the recommenders. They don't care if the recommenders is even, like the president of whatever country. But again, like what they do care about is, if the person actually really knows you well. And I see that also being the case when we find the right referees, right? So, the right referees are basically the ones who, when you come up to them and you tell them, hey, look, next year I'm going to apply for a master's degree in the US, and I can't think of a better person than you to be my recommender. And if it's the right recommender, that person would definitely fully support you and will be very happy. Like, it's a no-brainer for them to actually write these letters. But if they refuse to write it themselves after you explain to them why they have to write it themselves, that means they're not really supportive of you. And so my simple answer is find other referees. And I think I would like to discuss this with Santika later on, because we actually just received an email from someone, and I don't know, Santika, I don't know if this person is actually watching this session. I really hope she does. She actually shared the story exactly this on number 1, where she shared her concern about, this faculty member is actually not being supportive, and the person actually refused to write it. And then, we told her to, hey, we actually do have the session, so if you want to, discuss it together during the Q&A. But this is like my simple answer. If they don't want to write it themselves, try to find other referees. The second one, these are actually a bunch of like excuses that I heard from some of my advisors in the past. Even after I told them that no, you have to be the one who write the letter. So if the referees ask you to write it for them, the immediate answer is definitely no. But then at the same time, you want to explain to them, right? Then you can tell them that, hey, Pak, Bu, and I attend the session by Education USA, and they actually they explain thoroughly, the importance of this letter, and the fact that I'm not supposed to write it for them, and how this letter is viewed as something confidential. I think that's the word that I was looking for earlier. Confidential. The admissions committee really view this letter as confidential, meaning that I'm not supposed to actually know or even like write the letter, right? And so explain it to them, and then if they still say no, sorry, I'm so busy, please do write it yourself. Again, my simple answer: it's time for you to find another referee. Okay? If they are not capable in writing it in English, if that's their reason, offer your help to find them sworn translator. Because again, the US universities really, they're very chill. When they accept all this information, they are actually very chill about it. When it comes to letters of recommendation, it's called letters of recommendation for a reason. It's a letter. They really actually view this as a letter. So they don't mind actually to receive 2 different letters in 2 different languages, and they are totally going to understand if the person actually have the original language, that is Indonesian, and then provided with the English version. Again, the admissions committee, although they are very chill, like I said earlier, but they actually take this supposedly confidential letters seriously, and it means that when they actually catch you being the writer of this letter, they are going to reject your application right away. And that's something that we want to avoid completely. I don't want to scare you, or maybe I do want to scare you for a good reason, because it's going to just defeat the whole thing, right? Like if you have like a great essays, you have good GPA and all that, and then you got rejected just because of this silly, mistake that you make. Come on, like we don't want that, right? So, well, that's basically it with letters of recommendation. We are actually near the end. I just want to, kind of give you a sample of what is in the letters of recommendation. I get the sample from, I believe, from UC Berkeley. So if you want to just kind of Googling it, I don't know if it's still there, sample of letter of recommendation, UC Berkeley. But then again, there are so many other universities that actually put their samples on their website, so you can actually do that. So this is kind of the old school type of letters of recommendation. Old school means that they still want the letter of recommendation still in the letter form, with the letterhead and everything. But this is, like the first part of the letter, the letterhead and the information of the recommenders and so on. And then this is like what is really important in this letter. So as you can see, this is almost like an essay. The recommender actually don't have to write this long, but if they want to write this long, so be it, that's fine. But technically what is in it is, the first paragraph is normally the only part about the recommender. That's it, right? They can tell about who they are, and most importantly, about where that person actually knows you. And then the second and third, and basically the following paragraphs is the letter of recommendation. Like, this is it, that's like the most important content of the letter, where the recommender is basically vouching for you by mentioning certain skills that you have. And remember, I said earlier, each recommender will want to talk about different skills that you have, not like similar skills. So here in this case, this person, Jane, has highly intelligent and has good analytical skills. And what comes next is we don't want the recommender to just simply elaborating what highly intelligent and good analytical skills mean, because I think oftentimes that's what a lot of people do. But then it's obvious that they already know what those means. But what the admissions committee actually really look for is give an example of when Jane actually shows the good analytical skills. So giving an example of when exactly you perform that type of skills. And then the recommender basically go on the following paragraph by mentioning that Jane also has excellent communication skills. And then again, like what follows is not simply explaining what communication skills are, but more on when Jane actually perform doing good communication skills, right? And then the recommender is also allowed on the following paragraph to talk about you on a personal level if they wish to do so. And then followed by kind of like the conclusion of the letter by wrapping things up by basically vouching for you even more, saying that, look, the students, it's no doubt the right candidate for this program, and that the recommender look forward to having them back to Indonesia and really implement the goals and all that. Okay, and then the closing, signatures and all that. But then nowadays there are a number of universities where they no longer ask for this type of old school type of letters of recommendation like this. Instead, it's a number of questions that the university wants the recommender to kind of like answer. And that's kind of like their new version of letters of recommendation. Maybe not like letters. It's not like in a letter form, but more like in a boxes. And then again, feel free to actually help them, because you actually do have control over if the recommender actually allow you to do that in terms of what is in it. But then what is more important thing is that the writer has to be done by the recommender themselves. Okay? And this is just kind of like the outlook. Again, is, just like a regular letter. But then, the recommender doesn't have to write this long, but then, just to give you an idea that if they do want to write this long, this is like obviously, tells us that the recommender actually do support this person because they actually, they're willing to write this long. But yeah. And don't forget to send a thank you note. Again, they are going to definitely appreciate that. So don't forget about that, okay? And I keep telling myself that this is like a really wrong slide to put on, because when I say this, get one of the Education USA at America advisors to check on your, yes, we can take a look at your resume and CV, but we are actually not checking your letters of recommendation, because for the same reason that I mentioned, the U.S. universities, they look at this particular documents as for being confidential. So I'm not supposed to know what is in it. You are technically not supposed to know what is in it unless the recommender gives you the right to it's fine that, for you to know the inside. But yeah, please get one of the Education USA America advisors to check your resume. However, and this is something that I always make Santika and I always make laugh out of this, because we actually oftentimes after the sessions we received a number of inquiries from you guys, from some of you, basically emailing us to our email center by saying, hey, I joined the session about resume, CV and resume. I found it really helpful. Thank you for that session. Please here attach my my resume. Please give comments or stuff like that. And then when we open the document, it is actually still in the Indonesian version. And then I question you guys by asking, wait, I thought you said you're watching the session, and I was very clear when I said, I want you to actually, revise your resume to the US version first. So I'm telling you guys again now, if you want Santika or I to take a look at your resume, please change the outlook and the structure and everything to the US version, because before you come to us, because we are not able to review it when you still have the Indonesian version. Okay? Good luck, and I'm going to stop share this document, and then I'm going to call up my colleague Santika and see how we are doing. Hello, Santika.
Hi, Fina. Thank you so much for the elaborate PPT once again. So it's every month, guys. I just want to repeat that to highlight that this is so important. That's why Fina and I are doing this every month, including the event for tomorrow, which is the how to write your essay. So yeah, Fina, sorry if the chat box has been distracting you, but we just have a few people in the chat box eager to ask questions while you are doing your presentation. And the big part of them actually when you are mentioning about letter of recommendations, which is very interesting. If we look at the trend of questions that come to us about letter of recommendation, it's always the same or similar questions like, what if my recommender told me to write it myself and he or she will just sign it? Oh, he or she is busy, don't have time to write me, so that's why he or she asked me to narrate myself. And another excuse is something like, the recommender feels like he or she don't know you well enough to write you one. So all of that, whatever excuse, aside from the language barrier, I think it's safe to say that you need to find another recommender.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has to be confidential. And when you sign the FERPA, it means when you say yes to the FERPA to waive your rights to see it, it means it's confidential. So if you know the content, you signing that FERPA means you're lying about it. So yeah, it has to be confidential. That's why you cannot write your own, whatever reason it. And then if your recommender well, and he or she is not the type to say no to this, and you can probably poke something into the language barrier. Some people are just shy to say that, oh, I'm not good in English, I cannot write it in English. They don't say it, but they just say no to your request. So what you can do is like approach it from another perspective, like, Pak Bu, I'm also going to translate my transcript. So if you want me, if you feel like writing it in bahasa, which can be better for you to express your feelings towards me or support towards me, then you can write it in bahasa, and I'll just simply translate them together along with my transcript with a sworn translator and give it back to you, so you don't have to worry about anything. And most of the time they will kind of like have no reasons to say no, because then they can just write in Bahasa Indonesia, which is a lot easier for them to do, right? That's my tip for recommenders that kind of like want to write but hesitant. Sometimes it's just they're being shy to say like, I'm not good in English, I cannot write that. So yeah, that's Indonesian culture. I think it's something that hopefully slowly, getting smaller in that part.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, Santika, which actually makes me curious if other countries actually do that, like when they write on behalf of the recommenders. I don't know if you guys know something about this. Please, feel free to share this. I actually
it's
wondered
interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know, Santika, because both of us are coming from we went to the US for undergrad. So I know a little bit about, the first time I got exposed with letters of recommendation is when I was still in the US. And it's like a no-brainer, like when it comes to letters of recommendation, of course, like it's supposed to be confidential. I never know what my recommenders in the past actually have wrote. All I got was like already in an envelope, sealed envelope, and I didn't know what is inside, and I'm not supposed to know what is inside. But it seems like here in Indonesia it's actually very common for us to actually write it for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think different recommender will handle it differently, and depends on where you are going to submit it.
True.
I think for university admission, they're going to send an email, right? So that's kind of like, you cannot be with your recommender together when he or she is submitting it. So I think that's how they kind of make it even more confidential to secure that. But this is funny because I asked for a letter of recommendation before from someone in the States that I worked with during my college years. She's one of the supervisors for these activities for the students, and it has been years since I went back, right? So we keep in touch, but very casually and occasionally, and I'm like, I need a letter of recommendations, and I just tried to ask her, and she was like, oh yeah, sure, I will write you one. And then she sent me one version, and then the other day she sent me again another version, which is better. But so the difference here is that she allows us, the one who requested it, to see the letter and ask you any input you want me to highlight this and that part of you, which is doable, which is okay, right? Because we don't write that ourselves. We can, like you said, give input to them on what to write, on what to highlight. So if your recommender really wants to support you, those are the things that he or she will do. Like literally kayak, ini udah bagus belum? Udah cukup belum gitu? They will show it to you. And when you read it, of course, I said it's supposed to be confidential. Tapi kan recommender yang kasih lihat, then, well, I think most Indonesians already read their own letter of recommendations from the recommender. Very rarely kayaknya nggak baca. But what's different is if you interfere in the writing process itself, aside from the input.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the person who emailed us, Vina, did not show up today.
Okay.
But I can pull that out, even if it's just the same thing as what we have been talking about.
Yeah.
Intinya, the recommender was not supportive, saying things like, oh, tapi qualifications kamu nggak cukup untuk dapetin, the scholarship and to get to this and that university. You're not in the same field. You need, experience. Intinya nggak punya experience yang cukup untuk
I remember that person. She doesn't have a background on like public policy or something. And then she wants to apply for a public policy program, right? If I'm not mistaken. And then she shared that story where when, like the professors basically, you don't have any, background in public policy and stuff like that. And then, well, actually, if you want to study public policy in the U.S., you're not technically need to have that public policy background. I mean, because, like in the U.S., I think that's the beauty of, like the U.S. education. There are certain numbers of programs where you don't have to have a background. For example, like MBA. I mean, you can graduate with like engineering, or like psychology or what have you, and then continue your MBA, and you don't actually have like a business background, and you're still allowed to do that. And so, I think you replied to that email nicely, Santika, by explaining to the professor. But guys. So basically, the simple answer is if you experience this kind of unfortunate thing, don't take it personally. And the simple answer is just find another referee. It's as easy as that. I know it's not easy actually maybe to find another referees, but that's kind of like your next step. Okay?
Yeah, you can talk to Fina or me. We can just kind of like dig into your life, like, oh, where do you work? Where did you study? How about this and that professor?
Yeah. And then another thing about Education USA is that we also don't want you, at least here in America, because we are, can I fairly say that we are nice advisors, something? But no, the whole point is
this is
like,
soft selling.
We don't want you to just think of us as I only see Fina or Santika when it comes to like filling in these documents, but we are also here to support you, so if you feel like you experience this kind of things and you feel like you want to share it, we are here to lift you up and not like taking things personally.
And what we do is malah kayak kemarin yang dengan email itu, I was like questioning how come this professor saying things like that to the students, that's so discouraging. And even with or without the knowledge that U.S. universities are a lot of very welcoming towards interdisciplinary. So what I said was, you don't need, kayak Vina bilang, you don't need kayak business di S1 untuk ambil MBA gitu. And a lot of that, their programs for graduate, emang kayak gitu, emang interdisciplinary-nya sangat disupport gitu. So that's not the right reason for you to turn down someone. If you say, oh, sorry, but I don't feel that I have the capacity to give you a recommendation letter, maybe because I only, work very shortly with you, like for 1 week, I don't think that's enough. That's a better rejection daripada ngomong kayak you are not qualified because he or she is not in the admission committee or the scholarship committee even. So we totally don't agree with that. Okay. And we have a few questions tonight, Vina, and I'm starting from I think we can start from Nidar Chanamutu. He or she was in Zoom. Should we add our GPA under education and list the courses that we took at college under education? I would say that's optional. Karena kayak GPA itu, kayak Vina sama aku, tiap kali kita ketemu advisee baru, we never ask for the GPA because basically that's in your past. And you are not judged by your GPA bisa masuk apa enggak ke university tertentu. So that's optional for me. And the list of courses, kayaknya nggak perlu juga.
No, the list of courses is not necessary unless the university asks for it. I know.
And that's in transcript.
Yeah, I actually work with a recent advisee where it's actually really interesting because the university actually did mention that, mention some of the courses that is relevant from like when you were still in college. So unless the university asks for it, which is actually not common, then you don't put. When it comes to GPA, that's the one thing that Santika and I, we never like ask about it. However, if you actually do have a GPA above 3.1, feel free to show that off. I know some people, but it's only 3.2. Yeah. Oh, it's only 3.3. I don't think I should put it there. But no, above 3.1 is already good. But yeah, I mean, if you have even better above 3.5, put it in the resume. But then again, I totally agree with Santika. At the same time, it's optional because then they can take a look at it in the transcript. But then I think that's also okay if you want to put it in the resume. So, but Nidarshana, volunteer experience before college, forget about it. It's too long ago. Unless you are watching this session and you're still in high school and you want to do bachelor's degree. But we're focusing on master's degree here. So forget about before college. What else here, Santika? We have another one.
So a bit to add to that. Tadi yang untuk if you write the courses below your GPA. The most common one and what I recommended is kalau kamu bikin thesis atau kayak if you receive like honors or cum laude or whatever title, that's when you want to include your GPA with it gitu. Kayak just to make sure that they know you have achievement there, even though it's already in your transcript. But that's a good summary to include in your CV or resume if you have those. Okay. So moving to Fasti, I believe she is your advisee.
Oh yeah, we talked a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, so she asked, "Hi Mbafina, once I was advised by my senior that CV and resume shall be made into Microsoft Word and not recommended to make it in other format like JPG, PDF, and etc. due to nowadays the receiver uses computer for the first filtering. Is it really matter? Does it really matter on the format?
I don't know. I think what I realized is I think when you get into the online portal and then you actually it's different from different program and from different universities.
Yes.
Ada yang system
upload
recommendationnya you're uploading and then sometimes they actually do mention their preferred type of document. Exactly. Sometimes they don't. So then if they don't mention anything, then technically you can submit everything. But I kind of agree with your senior that if the document is already final, me personally, I like to give everything in PDF or in image format because it won't kind of
or anything.
Yeah. Like my presentation earlier, there's some part that is kind of got shifted. That's what happens when you are kind of when you give it into Microsoft Word. Sometimes that happens.
So a bit to add to that. When I review most CVs or resumes, tiap kali kalau bolak-balik itu yang bikin yang ke-trigger itu adalah yaitu spasinya lah, garisnya. Itu yang bakal ke-shift if you use Microsoft Word. Because from one to another computer, it could be different if you have different year of the software. So PDF to me is the safest and Pina as well. But again, check with the portal, dia mintanya apa. Okay?
Yep.
Some universities even ask for the applicants to copy paste the words to their column for your CV or resume, but also attach it. I think it's just to be safe that they got everything that you want to give for them. Sometimes maybe the attachment couldn't be opened or it's just a messy format or whatever. All right, so check again with the admission portal of the university that you are applying to. All right. So the rest of the questions, most of them I have answered in the chat box, but if you want to, mau bahas, go ahead.
Absolutely. I think, I looked some of these questions and they are amazing. So we got Ferdinand Adianto Harjono. Hopefully you're still watching in Zoom. Hi, Kavina and Kasantika. If I took some certified courses from Coursera, should I put it in my resume? Thank you in advance. I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I would say yeah, because that's something that you can't put that anywhere else. I mean, you can't have that on your transcript, right? But then to actually show to the admissions committee that you have actually taken this course, especially that this is certified, then yeah. How about those courses that are not certified? I would say no, because then it's going to be very easy for you to just say, I'm taking these courses, I'm taking that courses, and those are free. And then you can and then at the end of the day, you have like 10 free courses.
Yeah.
And without us knowing whether or not you're actually, attend those session. But then certified is a different thing. Certified is actually, it's a huge deal. It's like almost you're taking like a class, like a course, like a legit course, right? So yeah, definitely. You can put it there.
Yeah, and to add a bit note on that, what I've seen in my previous CV and advice, Vina, kalau udah ngambil satu Coursera itu pasti nggak mungkin cuma satu. Biasanya banyak beberapa course yang certified. Yep. So when it comes to you have so many of them certified courses, and you have so limited space, you may want to pick and choose which one is the most relevant to your experience and to the program that you want to apply to, supaya mereka bisa lihat, okay, you have, very high interest and involvement there and knowledge there. Gitu. Jadi kayak if you have so many certified courses, kamu bingung mau masukin semua nggak muat, then that's how you pick and choose, including the volunteer experience as well. Okay? All right. Which one you want to do next, Vina?
Let's see. What is the next one? Is it okay for us to write the draft of letter of recommendation ourselves? No.
Yeah.
I haven't finished the whole question because there's another one. But no, definitely not. Not even a draft. So the outline, just making it into like bulleted statements, that's fine. But like the draft, absolutely not.
Title on my resume. Interesting. So we have interesting questions after those questions of writing our own LOR, which is a no. This is from ADWPRS in Instagram. I hope you're still watching. Should we put only technical skills? Interesting question.
Should we have what?
Should we only put technical skills? Yeah, this is a very good question. I would say it depends on your program. Kalau kemarin, based on my experience, kalau anak-anak yang kayak programming, they would want to put in, technical stuff. Yang kayak programnya, dia bisa ngejalanin program apa, C++, SQL, whatever the name of the program. I think those are very technical, and that really depends on your field of study. So yes, include the technical skills, but not only technical skills. So CV or resume itu nggak cuman kayak isinya, okay, kamu bisa A, B, C, D sampai Z gitu. It also includes your experience and maybe your volunteer or community activities in it, and also your education background. Okay, so not only technical skills. And hobby is not included. So don't put it in CV or resume.
There are actually some people who put hobby in their resume, right?
And it's very common in Indonesian CV or resume, Vina. I don't know
why.
Does it matter if you're like, let's say you're applying for a job and your hobby is like, let's say, reading. Does it matter? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes to me, it's not relevant, but maybe for people here who is trying to hire someone, it's relevant, which I'm questioning it. Interesting. Next one is from Mustafa in Zoom. Hi, Kavina and Kak Santika. I have a question. Can I write down the thesis title on my resume? So I've seen a lot of my advisees masukin thesis yang publicized. Yeah, published. Dimasukin ke publication. Or if you want to, if it's not published, but you feel like it's really good, you can put the title of the thesis under your like education and GPA. You can put it there. Sama kalau misalnya kamu concentrationnya di apa, misalnya double major atau apa, those details goes under your university, under your education. Okay?
Yeah, I actually see that quite common for my advisees who is doing PhD. And that is actually normal. If you want to do PhD and then you actually put the a thesis title in there. If you are doing masters, it depends. I would say if the master's program is heavily on, like research, then yeah, I would say why not. And especially if it's really related, to the program, that that like your research, like your thesis is somewhat ongoing, then that's fine to put it. If not, we don't actually really need that.
Yeah, but there are some cases, if you're applying for PhD, especially that they are looking for PhD candidate yang datang atau punya experience research yang agak berbeda dari apa yang mau kamu lakukan di PhD. That happened to one of my advisee, sama-sama biology, but it's a different topic. So if you have been in contact with the professors or something, and you kind of like ask what they are asking for, you kind of ask what they are looking for, then you can totally kind of like include something, even though you feel like itu kayaknya nggak relevant, tapi mereka nyari orang seperti itu, then by all means masukin, okay? Because that's what they're going to ask for. This one is interesting. This one is from Abu Ghazi in Instagram. I hope you're still watching. Ini pertanyaannya, I have international certificate at database infrastructure, technology, and system security. Could I fill that in my resume? And by the way, I want to take business administration degree. I would say if it's certificates, boleh banget dimasukin. Dan biasa kemarin ada yang ke aku untuk masukin certificate. You need to write down what is the certificate name, kayak title-nya apa di sertifikat itu, and who issue it, and when it is issued. Pokoknya sebisa mungkin kayak details to show that it's legit. Like ini di-issue misalnya dari Coursera tahun segini atau apa gitu. Just put it in.
Format, Santika, is that any specific format where people?
Yeah, I actually research on it just to give it to my advisee.
By the way, we haven't discussed this. I don't know, Santika, if you mentioned it in the resume. But when it comes to resume and CV, I give all my advices to Santika because Santika has done like a really thorough research about this, like as in terms of like the content of the resume and CV. Me personally, I only look at the structure, and then sometimes, not sometimes, all the time. Like I always tell my advisees, because sometimes people come to see me and, we want to have like a essay session together with the resume or CV session. And then I told them, if you want like a really thorough review on the resume, as in like the content even, I recommend you guys to go talk to Santika. Because I focus too much on the essay, and I love reading essay too much, that when it comes to like resume, I'm like, I only look for the outlook and the, as long as you have like the structure for the US, usually I say, oh yeah, no, it's good. But then Santika, you're actually doing really great by like reading one by one, like, why are you writing this? Almost like a and I just don't have like the time for
I'm just a nitpicker. Well, as you guys know, we both do both things. So Fina also do CV, resume, and essay, and I also do essay. But I think it's just preference that Fina loves essay a lot more than the CV. So if I can do the CV on her behalf, I would love to do that. Because I find CV and resume is kind of like a shorter document where I know what to look for. So I think it's kind of like my favorite part. I do read essays, but if the essay gets too very challenging for me, I will refer the advisee to Fina as well. So that's why we have each other here, and which is a very great thing. So I will include my email so that if you guys are interested to review your CV or resume, you guys can email it to me. But the thing with CV or resume, we recommend you to have the most updated one.
Yeah.
So it's ideal for you to come to me for CV or resume review is when, let's say like 2 months or 3 months before you want to submit your application, that's when okay, this address is not going to change. This phone number is the latest one and the most updated, work experience and, certified courses and whatever you have there.
Do you do offline review, Santika, on the CV, or you?
Sometimes, but it's very rarely. I mean, it really depends on the urgency. If I cannot make it to the schedule of the advisee, then I will just compensate that by giving the offline review.
Right.
But that's very rarely happening, and hopefully not a lot.
Yeah. So as you can see here, guys, like there are the both of us, but then each of us has like our own, like style and preference when it comes to like reviewing this. We're not like trying to, okay, if I do my way, I need to have Santika to do my way as well. So I let Santika to basically, do her own preference, and myself as well. So for example, like, I don't do offline review, especially on essay, and this is like I like to make it clear that when it comes to Santika and I, when it comes to like essay review, for example, we only want to do like online review together with you. So don't expect you emailing us and then we get back to you with the comments. Yeah. However, I would do that sometimes, but only on a special case, as in that person has to be someone that I have been working with for a couple of times. Exactly. Yeah. So, like last February and March, there are, like some deadlines coming up. And then I got like my advisees that I have been working on the essay together for the past few months. And then for whatever reason, it's really hard to reach out to me. And then because I know them and I know their efforts before, I told them like, hey, this is my number, because it's not usual for me to actually share my phone number. But then I gave them my WhatsApp number, and then I told them, hey, feel free to send me, like this particular paragraph or what have you, or feel free to email me, and then I'll get back to you on that. But for new advisees, I don't normally do that, So let's build the relationship first before we go on like the offline session.
Yeah, I do agree with that, because if we make the system with a lot of considerations, right, Pina?
Yeah.
We had in the past I personally do offline review with advisee that's very fairly new or very new, and when I give it the input offline and I never heard back from the advisee, and I guess that's just maybe miscommunication or some other things. But yeah, we are trying to build something solid first before we actually try to go offline with all of our advisees here. And we have another interesting question from Abu Ghazi as well from Instagram. And on the step-by-step on how to build good resume, I think you need to rewatch. If you missed this event just now, you can rewatch in youtube.com/ATAmerica, AA at the back of America. And you can email us at jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. I already asked our social media team to copy paste the email address for you, and I look forward to receive your email there for the more details guidance.
Yeah, and we have our social media team making sure that the email is being sent on Instagram. And thank you, Abu Ghazi, for the question, and thank you, America team, for helping us. We got a question from Ryan Alfian. Has Ryan did an advising with either of
I think his name is very familiar. I think he did.
I asked earlier. I asked earlier in the chat. Siapa yang belum pernah advising sama kita, angkat tangan. Because I saw some new names in the room.
Yeah.
And so it's actually nice to see some new people. But
actually, in the beginning of your presentation, I asked if anyone is applying for fall 2022 or later, and most of them actually applying for fall 2022. So they are quite early, and I'm happy for that.
That's really nice. Yeah. But Ryan here actually asked a really good question. I'm about to approach my professor to write me the letter, but I'm not really sure how the timeline goes. So timeline is really important. Should I start making an application now if I wanted to apply next year, where the university deadline is January 2022? It's good that you start early. If so, then how should I tell my recommenders? Is it like, please write me a recommendation letter, but don't send them to uni just yet, as I'm planning to apply next year? What do you think? Thanks as always. Thank you for the question, Ryan. And yeah, you can actually do just that. I remember like back then when like a long time ago when I was still in college, I actually did ask one of my professors to write me a recommendation letter for my, I was planning to, I don't know, like I don't have any plan to actually do master's degree, but then I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna ask. Although at the end probably, like I'm not doing master's degree, but then I actually did ask the letter back then. So the content is actually, can be used over and over again. So yeah, in term of, for this question, that's okay if the recommenders is actually fine with it. You can just say, hey, look, I'm not actually applying until January next year, but then I just thought that, and you know what, like I like, if I'm picturing myself preparing for my master's degree, I like to kind of put other documents that is easy for me to kind of like put it aside, done, so that I can focus on some other things like standardized tasks and essay, right? So if you can actually work on the rest on the letters of recommendation now, and then the recommenders actually don't mind doing that this early, then that's fine. Maybe you can tell them like, yeah, would you mind, like writing it now, like just the content, and then I get back to you again when I'm ready to apply, and then we just add the part when, you mentioned the university. But then the beauty of it is that that recommenders doesn't have to, like really write the letters from the beginning. So yeah, it's actually totally fine.
Yeah, and again, Ryan, I think it depends. Kan kalau sekarang kebanyakan, most of the application these days ask the letter of recommendation from your recommender by sending the link. So you input the email address. So actually, it's kind of like when you send that link to your recommender. So yeah, but if you want it early, like Vina said, that's totally fine. But if you decided to kind of like do it kind of like yang agak-agak terakhir, then my recommendation is have a buffer time. You don't want to not have a buffer time because you don't know if your recommender is busy during that time when you only have 1 week left. No, that we don't want to do that. You need to have a buffer time at least 1 bulan sebelum kamu mau submit your deadline. And that's different with the deadline that's mentioned on the website. The deadline can be 15 April, but your own deadline can be 1 April. So you want to have a buffer time before 1 April, asking your recommender, because they could be busy, they could forget and everything like that. So know your risk, but we do recommend you to do it early on, as long as you already in the portal, udah sign up untuk the application, and usually you have to pay the registration fee first. So if you are already in the portal and you can send the link anytime, then you can take care of it earlier. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, I hope you understand on that part. And we have another long question from Artika Arista in Zoom. Hi, Kavina and Kasentika. How about the recommender came from our family? This is interesting. This is my first time having this question.
I know. I said in the chat that it is actually a really interesting question.
Yeah, but not a close family, but both of them are English lecturers in Indonesian university and happen to be my English teacher in elementary school. Is it okay for PhD letter recommender, or probably it will be biased because I'm still asking or consulting their opinion related to higher studies lately? So I will ask this question first, like if they are your elementary school teacher, because then letter of recommendation, if you're applying for S1, I think yang paling relevan adalah high school teachers. If you're applying for S2, then the most relevant one adalah lecturer yang pas kamu lagi ngambil bachelor degree, like when you're studying your S1. So elementary school teacher, I don't know. It's very far away, and not to mention that they're part of your family. Although I don't know that I don't think that they can find out if, you don't have the same last name, but it can be biased, right?
Yeah. For me, the way I look at it, I mean, not sure if it's like if it's elementary school, yeah, no, that's like too far, away. But then you mentioned that English lecturers in Indonesian universities, and then assuming that Artika, you're applying for PhD, so that means the faculty members for the recommenders are actually when you're doing your master's degree, right? And did any of these family members of yours actually teach any course that you took? If the answer is yes, then I would say that's fine, although technically they are also family member, but then you took their classes, right? But then if it's just because, oh, they're just like simply lecturers, I don't have any, like I didn't take any of their classes, I only have like the fact that they are my family members, I would say no, even though they are faculty members. But yeah, with letters of recommendation, we actually do want to have someone that we have in contact previously, be it by courses, like you took their classes, or you were in like some kind of like a project together or something like that, not just simply because they are faculty members, So yeah.
Right.
Interesting question.
So yeah, totally agree.
That answer.
I think that is going to answer the question, given that we have so little details on it. But by all means, Artika, if you are confused, you can come and find either of us, Vina or me, to discuss on that. Maybe bakal lebih jelas in one-on-one advising.
Yep.
This one is from someone in Instagram. It's a very interesting question.
Oh, we got a lot of audiences from Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm happy. This is quite new for us.
Yes.
Hello, I have a problem because I was graduate 9 years ago. Is it possible to me to apply to graduate school? Thank you. Tina.
Of course.
This is your favorite part.
Of course. There is no age limit, just if you guys wondered, when it comes to, studying in the U.S. I think that's really beautiful. So basically, I know there is no age limit if you want to continue your study. However, you want to think about, if you are going to rely on, some kind of like government scholarship, like in Indonesia, we have LPDP, and I believe they do have age limit for applicants to apply. What is it, Santika, 35 for a master's degree and 40? Or is it? No, I think with Fulbright, there is no age limit, right?
With Fulbright, there is no age limit, but they do mention that you need to be certain years away from your retirement. That means
interesting.
That doesn't. Yeah, I asked to confirm before with the person from Fulbright. It's not to limit your age, but it's to limit your contribution later on when you are back as a Fulbright alumni. You got Fulbright and you went to States and you come back to Indonesia. They just want to make sure once you're back to Indonesia, you still have, a few years to contribute before you actually retire. So that's why they mentioned that there. It's not because of the age, but it's because of they want to make sure that you are able to contribute after you're back, But for LPDP, yeah, I think they do have age limit, and I haven't updated that again on how old and whatever. But if you're going for a PhD and you don't need LPDP or Fulbright, because some of the university in the States for research heavy especially, they do have full funding for the PhD candidate. And if you can get that, then you have no problem whatsoever about your age. And to add to that, I actually asked, because this is also one of the problem or worries of my advisee, and I actually also curious about it, and I went ahead and emailed the admission office to ask, hey, my advisee is this old and he is, worried that he's too old for your program. And the reply is just so wonderful. They say, you know what? No, our PhD candidate, one of them is this old, which is like 10 years older than my advisee. So I'm like, forward that email to my advisee, and he's like so happy with it.
Wow.
And you have no more worries about that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think that's
guys.
like the beauty of doing PhD. I don't know how many of you guys watching the session interested in doing PhD, but PhD is just like so nice, especially if you want to study in the US, just because you don't have to actually rely on like government scholarship like LPDP or Fulbright, because like with LPDP there is age limit, and let's say you don't meet the criteria. But again, like there's so many funding available for PhD. It's a little bit different when it comes to master's degree in the US, because not a lot of them actually do have funding like PhD does. So that's why, like, when it comes to master's degree, a lot of us still rely on, like government scholarship like LPDP and Fulbright. So
yeah. All right. Moving to the last question, Vina. I think we are very on time tonight, which is nice. From Audrey Soria in Instagram as well. Hi, Vina. I'm preparing for fall 2022. In terms of resume, should I put bullet points on my achievements at work or just my job scope?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Both.
You definitely want to put your achievements, because I covered this during my presentation, that obviously we do not want to just like mention about our responsibility, but then we want to show off what you have done in that particular company or what have you. So yeah, absolutely, achievements it can be part on the bulleted statements. And I love the fact that and thank you for sharing that you are applying for fall 2022. I think Santika also asked in the chat, in the crowd here in Zoom, that a lot of you guys are watching the sessions applying for fall 2022. And I love this because actually Santika and I, it's been somewhat quiet, Yasan, when it comes to advising, but it's very expected because we are about to have the Ramadan month very soon. And then this time around actually is our the quietest time of the year, but it is actually really good for you guys to actually consult with us, because it's very sepi banget gitu. Because I'm telling you guys, when it comes to like really when we hit, I want to say August, it is going to be so hard to actually see me
at a time with us.
We are almost like a celebrity, like almost like it is so hard to see us. And then
buzzing, Zoom non-stop, like ding,
we have people waiting for hours just to find out that I turned them down just because it's already 9 o'clock and I gotta sleep. And I hate doing that, but then we actually do see that on a yearly basis, especially when it comes to like when it's near the deadline. But then again, I totally understand that we all love being procrastinate, but then again, like I totally understand that. But if you actually do decide that you want us to be the person who will guide you, and that's what we are here for. We love guiding you, and we love, like, if we can, we want to guide as many Indonesians as possible. But then again, like, there are only the two of us, and here's the thing, like, this is another different things when it comes to like advising style between Santika and I. Santika has a certain, correct me if I'm wrong, Santika, but you actually, like, you kind of like time your advising time. So because Santika is worried, which is like, it's really nice of Santika, no doubt. Like, it's really nice, like, for her to, there are 3 people in line, and then like, you look at the time, so that making sure that all those 3 people get the chance to talk to you. With me, it's different. Like, they, I get sometimes, like, when there are like 4 or 5 people in line, and the way we do the advising session, at least with me, it's first come, first serve. And when you get in the room with me, in the advising room, I'm going to put all my attention to you. We can talk for 30 minutes. We can talk for an hour. Maybe if it's like getting too long, as in like, an hour and a half and 2 hours, I will tell you that, hey, I got someone new, someone waiting. But then I will just put my, like, my time for you. And then, that's why, like I said earlier, there are some people that waiting in line only to find out that I told them, hey, sorry, it's already 9 o'clock. I can't see you. Please come other days. And so like, you know, if you don't want to experience that, because people really, really frustrated with that. But then again, there are only the two of us, you know. I wish there are another advisor in Education USA at America, but I don't think it's very likely. So yeah, I mean, use our, you know, this time around to at least share with us your plan, and then we can start from there. I'm currently working with a good number of students who wants to study for fall 2022, and then they already start since early this year, and so that's really nice.
Yeah. Well, with me, Vina, I just can't stand someone waiting there while I was reading the essay, because it makes me feel rushed. So, and I have a lot of things to scribble because I love drawing on paper. But yeah, that's just preference. I usually schedule it first with my advisee and give them at least 1 hour for essay review. And for questions, I usually allocate 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yep.
But yeah, by all means, you can email us first if you are afraid to go to Zoom to meet us one-on-one, or you feel like, you know, you want to come in, but you don't know whether or not Vina or Santika will be in the Zoom on that day when you're available. You can email us first to check with us. As simple as that. And, you know, but these days, we can tell you that we have not a lot of people coming in, so you probably don't have to wait for a long time in the waiting room, even if you are going to meet Vina. And for first timers, if you come to my hours between 1 until 5 p.m., I will also let you in if I don't have advisee inside of the room. And if I'm not available, if I'm doing other things, I will tell you to come back when I'm available. So either way, it will work out. Just come and find us. And we do have, Vina, one last question about, let's see, like something medical. If you want to answer that real quick, or
is it the CCIP? It's from Dewi Tobadagi in Instagram. Thank you for the question. What about the CCIP program? Can someone apply for this without a diploma or PhD? CCIP program is by Fulbright. It's Community College Initiative Program. Unfortunately, we're not really familiar with CCIP, nor we actually do advising on that, because it's not like a degree type of program. So I would highly recommend you to contact Fulbright for this particular question. But yeah, we don't do CCIP program. We're sorry about that. You mean Amalia?
Yeah,
Amalia. Sorry about that. Is it possible for an Indonesian medical school or dental school graduate to apply PhD without taking master's degree? Woo, very technical question, Amalia, and unfortunately, we are running out of time. If you want, let's discuss this one-on-one. Santika, if you can help me, like, share our email center, and then maybe we can set up a time. Artika, I answered not answered your question, but I said in the chat that follow up your question earlier. Maybe we can discuss this on one-on-one. I just realized that it's already 8:32, and then we gotta cut this session off. But thank you guys so much, actually, for being here, listening to my long presentation. But by the way, this is nothing compared to what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to give a presentation where I'm going to talk for like
You're scaring them away. No, guys, it's
hopefully I'm not going to scare you away, but I'm telling you guys, the topic tonight is lighter because it's resume, and we're guiding you on that. But tomorrow is actually really important as well. It's as essay. I always tell people that before you come to see me and Santika doing a one-on-one session on essay, we always tell people to attend the session. And that exact session is tomorrow. So the fact that you guys are here, maybe you need that, feel free to come back tomorrow. And then we also, again, have like the follow-up events on the Saturdays to discuss more. And then, like we said in the email, if you receive our invitation email through email, this week is actually all about essay. So I think it's going to be really exciting, with the hope that you guys are considering seeing me and Santika, because again, like, this is very quiet, and I would like to see more of you guys come see either Santika or myself. All right. So, okay, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for the questions, and thank you so much for attending the session. Santika, thanks for your help. I would also like to thank the Ad America team. You guys are wonderful. Can't do this without you. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys. I'm going to remember some of his names in Zoom. I would love to see you guys again tomorrow evening. And have a good night. And I'm going to give you back to Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Kafina, and also Kasantika, for another wonderful session this evening. So, earlier in the event, I asked you guys a question. So, is it true or false that most universities require only one recommendation letter as part of the application process? So, is that true or false? That is actually false. Most universities need at least 2 letters of recommendations, and these references should ideally be written by previous teachers or professors who are familiar with your academic achievement. So our winner for this evening's social media question is Sosila.Amalia from Instagram. Congratulations. And for those of you who would like to participate in our social media quiz next time, you can tune in from the very beginning of the event, because that's when we share our question. Now, I also mentioned that America is having a giveaway. Now, how can you guys participate so you guys don't miss out on a chance to receive one of the 5 folding bites that we will be giving out? Check this one out.
Rayakan Earth Day selama sebulan penuh bersama Amerika. Di bulan April ini, kami punya berbagai aktivitas seru yang dapat kamu ikuti untuk mendukung Earth Day dan melawan perubahan iklim dari rumah kalian. Kalian dapat membuat seni, memasak, memamerkan tanaman, bergaya dengan pakaian bekas, dan mencari tahu apakah kalian lebih tinggi dari sampah kalian. Kalian dapat melihat detail aktivitas-aktivitas ini dengan mengunjungi bit.ly/payearthforward. Upload satu aktivitas yang kalian pilih untuk lakukan ke Facebook, Instagram, atau Twitter, dan sertakan hashtag Earth Day, hashtag #PayEarthForward, dan satu hashtag aktivitas yang kalian pilih. Jangan lupa untuk tag @Amerika loh. Pastikan akun kalian publik ya. Kalian bisa ikutan aktivitas ini dari sekarang sampai 30 April. Akan ada giveaway 5 sepeda lipat dahon di akhir aktivitas ini untuk 5 orang yang beruntung loh.
Alright guys, so for those of you who don't want to miss out to receive one of the folding bikes that we will be giving out, check out the link below for more details. And also for those of you who are wondering how can you develop an awesome idea at an awesome place like America, it's really easy. You can just go to our website at www.adamerica.or.id, select creative program, and go to collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. And while you guys are on our website, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. We will send you guys updates once a week to your email. We won't spam you, we promise, just once a week. And also, don't forget to follow us on our social media so you guys don't miss out on our cool content. Have a good evening, and see you at the next America TV event. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone. Thank you
Bentar
Santika.
doang.